These will just be some random shots of the city of Datong as we work our way to the Hanging Monastery on a small day tour. And then later in the afternoon we'll go to the grottos or caves. In the old section of a town like this, where the new buildings are, everything is finished off and relatively Spartan. Elsewhere it's just old and totally decrepit. In reading the guidebook, you get the sense that you're going to a small town. It's just not the case in China. I'm not sure they have small towns that would be found in a guidebook, although I will go to one. But off in the distance through the smog, you see incredible constructions. And way off in the distance there, what seems to be the ubiquitous growth of multiple high-rises. This is either a very serendipitous excavation landmark or it's an actual landmark looking almost like the Sphinx, looking back in the direction we've just come of this small town of Datong. According to Mr. Gao, a very knowledgeable man who runs CITS in Datong, there is a glut on cement in China right now, which may account for this incredible construction. Looks like a bridge. Yes, it is. Some kind of bridge design. What's interesting is the forest of trees, not to mention general landscaping along any highway they build. They don't just build the highway, they build the ambience of it also. This is a veritable forest along through here. Well, sparse here, but various places. You notice how these trees are supported with individual poles that have been tied together. Both the poles and the installing of this is another small reflection of the low cost of labor. This is some kind of a housing community, a local community. These are fields that look like they have water, but those are actually rows with plastic held in place by dirt on either side. Notice how high and how much of the hillside is terraced. For what it's terraced, I don't know. Whether it's growing or whether they extracted some mineral from up there. The freeway gone in. In a few years, this tourist spot will be accessible not on this bumpy road, but on that high-speed freeway, it appears. We're getting way out in the Tules, and here comes a new freeway going right through here. Maybe that same one that we saw earlier. It looks like it. Here's a long decorative flower bed. It's in the process of being rehabilitated, replanted. This is the monastery, now inundated with people. It's the stilts that are impressive as to the structure of those original ones. But the rest of it's supported by those stilts. Okay, we got a half an hour to do this. And so, very narrow stairway up, following a tour. This is why they caution you to not get terribly close to the banister unless you're in control of what you're doing. So, here we are. Here's what the monks saw. They first installed this by climbing down in ropes, posts, which actually were lower because it was taller then, and then built after. Okay, now we're in the queue. Another view of the dam. Get a little sense of what the height is like up here. I think we're up at the top now because we're about ready to descend. So there is a sense of precariousness. The banisters are low. Monks were probably even shorter than the Chinese are today. So here you get a sense of what it's like. I'll just pan around this corner. And I think they would have carved into these walls for other rooms and so forth. And some wise precaution, no burning, which means no smoking. Start down. There's an area here that I'm in that is cut back into the rock. Where else it's cut, I don't know. What this was for, I don't know, but it followed the layering of the stone, perhaps because it's a softer layer. It's an interesting part of the structure just because it looks interesting. It's interesting to imagine what that graphics would have been like had we been able to see it. I would be surprised if there are not rooms carved back into this stone, because I don't think it's that hard a stone. This is a pretty little building. Can't step back too far. Well, here we're up on top of the little building. There's only one way up and one way down. It's quite narrow. A tight view of that architecture there. Maybe you can get a picture of it when you come down. Very pretty carving here. So that detail looks like it's a dragon, maybe. Yeah, pretty panel. It's old, but you may be able to see it fast because many people are coming. This panel's in the middle of two sets on the other side. Carved detail here is nice. I love architectural detail. This room is dominated with bird pictures on the upper portion. Maybe pheasants or something like that. Here are the entry doors, whether they were, I don't know how old this detail is. It looks like it's metal door knocker or handle. And then the classic studding.
I guess you can spend like a lot of time here if you have.
Rather than an art form, I think this is some kind of either a water heater, more likely it's a heater for the